And now, after further review, a Clemson student's perspective on sports.
It's AFR time, baby. Let's get up. Let's get rolling.
That's right.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business. He played it down.
Okay, so if Trevor Lawrence isn't either the second or third string quarterback in the fall, I shave my head and you get a henna tattoo?
Well, you gotta get a head tattoo. You gotta shave your
get a head tattoo. Now we're talking.
And get a head tattoo.
There's a personal foul on number 99 of the defense. After he tackled the quarterback, he's giving them business down there. That's a 15-yard penalty.
And now your host, Jay, Bradley, and Evan.
Well, good Monday evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. After further review, AFR is on your radio. Jay Smith, Bradley Kendall, Evan McDowell in the back running the board for us like always. Here to bring you another hour of your favorite college football show. We will dive into the discussion. And then we have a buddy of ours, Jack McLaughlin, sitting in the studio. He's going to join us a little bit later.
Just to preface, he's a Notre Dame fan.
He is. He's a big ND fan, but we'll get to his opinions and some takes on Week 4 preview coming up in a bit. But Bradley, let's dive right into it after further review.
I don't know if I have like the scratchy enough voice to say this, but after further review, Geaux Tigers, baby.
Referring to LSU's win.
Yeah, you don't.
No, I don't. I don't have the deep enough voice or the cold to do that yet.
The only thing that I can understand that man says is Go Tigers.
Exactly.
Like,
I kind of feel bad for Allie
nothing.
LaForce trying to do those post-game interviews with him because, I mean, I'm sure she's got her questions ready to go, but from what he says, I mean, you can't get anything off of that at all. I need a translator. I really do. Yeah.
No, well, hey, LSU taking on Auburn this weekend. They beat them. Really a great game. I think the best game this weekend. 22-21, last-second field goal as time expired. They did a pretty good job winning Jordan Hare. And I think Jordan Hare,
right,
second straight year that LSU has beaten Auburn.
Yeah, the second time it's been a kind of a surprising finish, I think, after last year's upset of Auburn, and I think this year would be considered an upset too. I got to be honest. I think if you play that game 10 times, I think 6 or 7 out of 10, Auburn wins that game.
We talked about it on Walt's show just a few minutes ago, how there was a lot that went LSU's way down the stretch with the pass interference, the phantom PI calls.
I personally think it was a good call, but
I think that
not everyone agrees.
You can make the argument that really should have decided the game. I mean, Auburn was shut out first quarter and fourth quarter. They didn't score anything.
Yeah.
And their offense was not great. Stidham did not look that great. So for me, like, I understand that there's going to be a lot of Auburn fans that are going to gripe about those pass interference calls, but at the same time, like, you've got to do more throughout the game to make sure that by that point it's out of reach.
You put yourself in that situation. I mean, that's kind of what people will come back on if you try and complain about a call like that. As well, it wouldn't have had to been made if you had the game already won or you were still up by 11 points in the fourth quarter. It wouldn't have mattered. I think you're right. I think Stidham looked a little bit average after we had super high expectations of him.
I mean, he was 16 of 28 for 198 yards.
Yeah, and he's got 3 touchdowns all this year.
And he's thrown
in 3
two
games.
interceptions this game.
Yeah, and his only 2 on the year. And I think Auburn's run game was a little disappointing too. I mean, only 3.3 yards per carry after only 3.4 against Washington. Now, granted, they faced 2 pretty legitimate D lines.
He did run for over 100 yards.
He did.
He got 104 yards on 22 carries.
With a lot of carries, though. I mean, they had to put the ball in their hands a lot because Stidham wasn't producing through the air. Now, he was efficient, but wasn't working the ball downfield. They got a lot of third and longs. That was the one thing LSU did a great job of. Credit David Aranda, their defense coordinator. Put him a lot of third and longs and made Stidham make those magnificent plays towards the end that really kind of was the difference maker, I think, at the end.
Yeah, and this is really going to give Auburn an uphill battle now for their shot at a second straight West title within the SEC. Like it's the road is not as easy anymore.
No, it's also very difficult for LSU too. I mean, Auburn's got a difficult path. LSU has a difficult path. Take these 2
LSU
wins.
Schedule.
That's great. It's just brutal. I mean, we talked about it on Walt's show. They've got Georgia, Mississippi State, and Alabama 3 straight weeks. They're gonna be really, really tired after those that 3-week period. But 4th team ever to win 2 top 10 games in the first 3 weeks. So that's impressive.
Parentheses around the top 10 Miami game because, like we talked about, Miami's not really a top 10 team.
I don't think you can really base that stat off.
We've made that point. Like
yeah.
we couldn't base LSU off of the performance of the Miami game. We needed this kind of game in that kind of environment to really figure out, okay, is this team for real? And LSU struggled offensively to start this game. Took them a while to get rolling.
Oh yeah, no,
but
absolutely.
They were able to handle the environment, and at the end of the day, they got the win.
Credit the D2 transfer kicker that comes up big, Mr. Cole Tracy.
Yeah, did better than the Auburn kicker Carlson, who missed a field goal. I want to say
the Vikings and
13. No, I'm talking about the Auburn kicker.
Well, Carlson's now. He was on the Vikings now.
No, there's two of them.
No,
there's two of them. There's one at Auburn and one at Minnesota, and they both
kicker,
sucked this weekend.
Anders Carlson missed a 52-yard field goal. It was wide left with about 13 minutes left in the game. So
two former Auburn kickers, or one current and one former, that both did not have
the game away.
Good weekends by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. But, I think for LSU...
I mean, do you think that this game validates them, or are they going to need a win against Georgia, Mississippi State, or Alabama? Because right now they're at 6. Or, I'm sorry, well, what's the new ranking?
They're at 6
They're at 6?
Fortunate finish for them. I mean, you take away those 2 pass interferences. We're talking about a different LSU team here that has a lot of still issues to work with here. I mean, Joe Burrow was 15 for 34. And he wasn't exactly efficient. And I think down the stretch, like you saw with Hornibrook at Wisconsin, that might come back to get him in a tighter game, in a game where an offense can outscore him, like an Ole Miss or Mississippi State or teams like that. So good win now. Great win for Edo. Cools down the hot seat a little bit that people might have been talking about, but
still a tough stretch.
It's still a lot of football
they have
left to be
prove.
played. Yeah.
Next game, Boise State, Oklahoma State. This one, I believe, Bradley, you went with the Broncos.
I think we all went with the Broncos.
I was going Oklahoma.
You did not.
No, I did. No, I picked Oklahoma State.
Do we have recordings of this? Because
we
I
don't
believe
have
that
recordings.
Evan and I
but
both went Boise.
It was pretty obvious that I went with Oklahoma State. I was not high on Boise State going into that environment and winning that football game, and Oklahoma State took care of it, 44-21.
And, people were talking about after this week that this might be Oklahoma State's best team altogether that Mike Gundy's had, which I think is impressive with what you look at what they had last year with Mason Rudolph and the years they've had prior to that. Cornelius did a great job. The difference here, 2 rushing touchdowns.
No, the difference in this football game was Oklahoma State's defense.
That's what I'm saying, a total team effort.
They held Boise State to 34 yards rushing on 31 attempts.
Wow.
That's an impressive
And Brett
performance.
Rypien's a good quarterback.
Yeah. No, he even said after the game, he said their D-line did a great job getting penetration.
7 sacks.
We were in too many
Oklahoma
third and long
State had 7
situations.
sacks. Yeah, and you look at their schedule going forward. I mean, they got Texas Tech next week, but other than that, very manageable up until that November 10th showdown with the Sooners of Oklahoma. So, a team that we were kind of wondering where are they going to turn from here after losing their top two targets. Gundy rebuilt pretty quick.
Listen. If Oklahoma State can maintain this kind of offensive production, and also, because we know that in the past, Oklahoma State's had to rely on their offense to win football games. But this type of performance right here shows me that, hey, potentially they can rely on their defense and special teams.
Defense in the Big 12?
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, let's not act like Boise State has an Oklahoma or West Virginia type.
But
they were the number 4 offense in America.
That's not the song you were saying last week. You had them winning the game.
I did have them winning the game, and they didn't win the game. But Oklahoma State still has to go through the rest of the Big 12. And conference play, is different. And a lot of kooky stuff happens if you play Iowa State. People lose to Iowa State all the time in the Big 12, regardless of if they're the better team or not, which most of the time they're not, a la Oklahoma last year. So the fact that they still got to go through the Big 12, yes, this proves that they might be a good team, but they still got an uphill battle, I think.
But you can't discount the fact that Oklahoma State is vastly better than I think people thought.
I think they're better than y'all are giving them credit for because, again, y'all had Boise State winning this game. So in my mind, I feel like y'all should be giving them a little bit of credit.
And I think UCF just cemented itself as the best Group of 5 team by far. Now, after that loss by the Broncos,
UCF is the best team in the state of Florida right now. Let's just be honest.
Oh boy!
I guess my point about Oklahoma State is Oklahoma State's last 5 games. You've got Texas, Baylor, Oklahoma, West Virginia, TCU.
They're winning at least 4 of those games.
No, that's a tough final 5 games.
I think they're
going to beat Baylor. They're going to beat Texas. They're going to
Baylor's the only gimme game out of those 5, if you ask me. The other 4, Texas, Oklahoma, West Virginia, TCU.
Huh? Texas is back now.
Those are tough.
Oklahoma State
Keep in mind,
destroy USC.
The Oklahoma game is on the road, which still is technically, it's in Oklahoma, whatever, rivalry game. West Virginia is in Stillwater, and then TCU's at Fort Worth.
Big 12's pretty unpredictable, though.
It is.
I mean, Oklahoma's good, but got tested against Iowa State again. A team that only scored 3 points against Iowa.
But you saw how well TCU played against Ohio State. They played them close there for a while.
The Big 12 is super unpredictable.
Speaking of which, we got to move on to the Ohio State TCU game, a game that I felt like TCU had in the bag for a while. They really were controlling the momentum. Ohio State didn't look like they could get anything going offensively. Their first 13 points, they had a defensive touchdown and 2 field goals. It wasn't until they scored 20 points in 4 minutes during the third quarter that the floodgates opened and the Buckeyes held on to win this game by 12.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on Walt's show. I think Ohio State's got great talent. Don't get me wrong. I think they're one of the most talented teams in America, and beating them in 4 quarters, it's hard to sustain.
They could get through adversity here.
They can, but take those first 3 quarters, and they didn't, like you said, they didn't have an offensive touchdown until the middle of the third quarter.
But look, their defense bailed them out. Their defense bailed
by mistakes by TCU.
2 defensive touchdowns. I'm just saying, and listen, I agree.
Take those away, though. I mean, take those away. You're looking at maybe a 1-score game, and they only won by what, 12?
Well, only won by 12.
So take out those 2 defensive touchdowns. I mean, Haskins played a good game and all. He had 305 yards, but it could be a completely different outcome. I mean, Nick Bosa's injury obviously impacted that a little bit.
It did. And again, I think that it's hard for me to sit here and say that this was more Ohio State winning this game more than it was TCU throwing the game away.
I think it was a little bit of both.
Because watching the game, I felt like TCU in the third quarter, that stretch of 4 minutes, they just choked. Everything started I have to go back and watch and see exactly what happened and at what point things turned.
That shovel pass.
But they never recovered. They never were. They had their offense. Their offense was rolling all game long. And then into the third quarter.
Well, they got out of tempo. They were running that up-tempo offense for the first 2 possessions. And after that, I don't know if Gary Patterson changed the scheme at all, but they seemed to slow down.
I mean, both teams had over 500 yards of total offense. So if you were wondering about Ohio State's offense keeping up with TCU's Big 12 offense, I think there's your answer right there. It wasn't the defense winning the game for Ohio State. Defense doesn't win a game and give up 511 yards. That's the offense coming through.
3 turnovers
in 4 minutes is what you're doing.
3 turnovers by TCU.
It's a Big 12 defense, though. I mean, face a team like Michigan or Michigan State that's got a better defense that can hold that back a little bit. I mean, that third quarter spurt might not happen. That's all I'm saying.
TCU still got. Gary Patterson's got a good defense in Fort Worth. So 40 points in that game's impressive for Ohio State's defense limiting TCU to less than 30, and B, Ohio State's offense coming up with 40 points, 526 total yards. That's a pretty impressive performance.
Got to move on, though. Next up,
fine, cut me off. All right.
The matchup, Jack's favorite team to hate, USC, the Trojans. They took on the Longhorns. This was on the road for USC, and last time Texas has beaten them, obviously we all know, some argue the greatest college football game ever played in the Rose Bowl.
Can we move on from that? USC and Texas are completely different programs now. That's a great game, but that was 13 years ago?
It was a while. USC, though, looked really bad. It's been 14-37, and based off their performance last week, it was against, who'd they play last week?
You're talking about USC?
Who'd they play last? Stanford. And they only got
17-3.
3 total points, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought Stanford's defense was good. I thought Texas's defense was pretty good. I mean, I don't think USC's offense is really much to look at. I think Texas played a good game, but it was 14-13 in the third quarter until, like you said, with the Ohio State game, you had those 2 non-offensive touchdowns, and that's what really kind of got Texas going. When you look at this game, do you think USC just played poorly, or is Texas on their way back?
I think that this game was really important for Texas and everyone involved with that program.
Well, don't state the obvious right now.
No, I'm serious though. This sort of win for them, whether it really means anything to people outside of that state or not, can be a huge and should be a huge boost for them, because it's been 8 years for them without a Big 12 title, and they've had so many bad games, bad seasons. Herman, he's 9-7 now with Texas, and he got that win in front of a school record crowd of 103,507. So those fans, they showed up for that game. They were excited about that game, and they stayed the whole game.
Is that not kind of sad that that's a program record, for attendance? Yeah.
Against the USC?
Yeah, but I mean, this is the same Texas team, or same Texas program that with Vince Young, you couldn't get that many people to show up to a Vince Young.
What was the total again?
Yeah, it was 100. Well, you don't know how big the stadium was back in 2005. You'd have to Google that, but it was 103,507 attendance for this game.
For Texas, though, I mean, they've had money forever. They've had a big stadium for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of surprised.
I'm surprised they showed up for this game.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think it goes back to the whole point that I'm trying to make, where this game means a lot to Texas based off of the history between these two teams. USC. Oh, yeah, exactly.
If they beat Oklahoma, though, it means a whole lot
outside
more.
Of the sport, or outside of the state, we don't really care. Like, it's Texas USC. Yeah, they meant a lot back in the early 2000s.
It's the only sport that it probably really matters.
But by and large, no one was really paying a lot of attention to this game, even though it was a primetime game on Fox. For USC, they played poorly against Stanford. They played poorly again this week against Texas.
They had 5 rushing yards.
Maybe they felt like that Texas wasn't going to show up for this game. I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, based off of the Longhorns' performance, they were excited to play USC.
Oh, yeah, of course. You knocked USC down to 1-2. USC, like I said, had 5 rushing yards. I do think, though, this is more of a matter of USC being just that bad versus Texas being that good.
Yeah, certainly.
Because Texas lost to a Maryland team that lost to Temple. Temple lost to Villanova and Buffalo. So, like, it's a good win, great win at home. You get that 23-point dub.
So you want to see how they perform Oklahoma, TCU.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a lot of ranked teams left. They got TCU at home. They got Oklahoma at home. They got at Oklahoma State. They got West Virginia at home.
Texas could go 7-6. I mean, they could go 6-6
easily.
It could very well happen.
Watch out at Kansas at the end of the year. All of a sudden, the Jayhawks.
Remember the last time they played there?
The Jayhawks.
It could happen.
Are we really talking about Texas being back and Kansas football being a scary team to play? What is going on here?
I don't know, man. It's college football, but no, I mean, seriously, I think this is a great win for them, but they can't sit in the present and soak it up forever. They have to move on. They have TCU next week, a TCU team that should have beaten Ohio State this past weekend, and then a couple weeks they got to go and play Oklahoma.
You want a real quick nugget from David Hale? and this applies to both teams, USC, UCLA, Nebraska, and Florida State are a combined 1-9 this year with an average margin of defeat of 13 points versus FBS opponents. Syracuse, Duke, Kansas, and Indiana are 10-0 against FBS opponents.
Does it have the combined
19 margin of
victory? Wow.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Indiana 3-0.
Duke we've seen coming for a while.
Duke and Syracuse are good teams.
And Syracuse, I think some people thought, but undefeated. That's impressive. I mean, obviously at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were still giving Florida State credit. Obviously, we look foolish for that now.
And 2 of those teams in there, actually 3 of them, 3 out of the 4, UCLA, Nebraska, and Florida State all have first-year coaches too.
Yeah.
Which have not gotten off to good starts
at all. It's not gone well for first-year coaches. Well, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down Clemson's performance against Georgia Southern. So stick with us. That's next.
Do you love pets? How about helping Clemson Paw Partners? We're a nonprofit organization that cares about animal welfare, and we are in need of help. If you would like to help, go to ClemsonPawPartners.org. And please be responsible. Spay and neuter your pets. Lack of doing so causes many pets to go unwanted and are in need of homes. Our mission is to improve animal welfare and decrease pet overpopulation in our community. Donations help low-income families with the cost of spay and neuter and other necessary medical treatments. Please follow us on Facebook at Clemson Paw Partners.
There's no one like you, and this fall Pandora Jewelry lets you show that to the world with over 150 rings to choose from, crafted from sterling silver, Pandora rose, or 14-karat gold. Now Turner's carries the Pandora University charms so you can show your team's spirit. And Turner's has the new Groove brand silicone tiger paw band and has the only selection of Levion in the tri-state area. It's all happening at Turner's Jewelers in the Applewood Center Place in Seneca or online at turnersjewelers.com.
Tired of your outdoor power equipment breaking down? You thought you'd save money at a big box store, only to find out that what you bought didn't last. They don't offer maintenance and repairs in-house. They don't have the parts you need, and they don't have your local Husqvarna dealer's expertise. Easley Lawn and Garden is your source for the complete line of Husqvarna riders, mowers, chainsaws, trimmers, blowers, and more. For commercial or residential equipment, they're experts who will save you money. Husqvarna has been around since 1689. That is longevity you can trust. Like Easley Lawn and Garden. Invest in Husqvarna equipment from Easley Lawn and Garden. Husqvarna offers many options, so whether you're a homeowner or a commercial lawn company, Easley Lawn and Garden, your local Husqvarna dealer for nearly 40 years. Veteran and family owned and operated. 312 South Pendleton Street, Easley. Online at easleylawns.com.
In the center of it all lies a crown jewel of Anderson, the Anderson Sports and Entertainment Center. Adventure awaits at the KidVenture Playground. There's 64 acres for sports, including 7 ball fields, 3 soccer fields, 8 tennis courts, and miles of hiking paths. A 10,000-seat amphitheater and the county's largest ballroom and seating for up to 3,200 spectators. Hosting a private event? Look no further than the Anderson Sports and Entertainment Center. In the center of it all, go to andersonevents.com.
Cars cost less than Travelers Rest at George Coleman Ford. The award-winning George Coleman Ford team is offering 2018 Ford Escapes up to $4,000 off MSRP and 0% financing for 60 months with approved credit. And remember, George Coleman Ford does not charge any dealer fees. Cars do cost less than Travelers Rest. 4 generations doing business right. George Coleman Ford.
Includes $3,000 in factory rebates.
When it's time to replace your roof, there are so many things to consider, from the type of roof you have to the many types and styles of shingles. Gillstrap Roofing understands how each part of our roofing system works together to give you a beautiful and watertight barrier. Don't trust the one thing that really protects your home to just anyone. Gillstrap Roofing has been covering the upstate for 4 generations. Proven, experienced roofers for your home or business. Gillstrap Roofing, 2691232.
Does your South Carolina driver's license or ID have a gold star? If not, make the switch to a Real ID today. You may be eligible to purchase your Real ID online at scdmvonline.com or visit the SCDMV with all required documents to purchase your Real ID before the lines grow. The deadline will be here before you know it, so make sure your ID is a Real ID to board a plane, enter a federal building, or visit a military installation today. More information at scdmvonline.com.
Granger Nissan knows with football season comes tailgating, so make sure you have a reliable way to the big game. As a leader in the market with competitive inventory, you know that you'll be ready to tailgate this season. Granger Nissan is a family business, so they know the importance of taking care of the loved ones while on the road. You can drive your next tailgate vehicle with confidence and ease knowing all new vehicles have a lifetime powertrain warranty. So stop by Granger Nissan of Anderson at 3510 Clemson Boulevard.
This is George Jeffries again with Metal Building Supply in Piedmont. Do you have nuts? Well, we do, and bolts, panels, trims, and all the accessories you would need to do that shed project or roof on your home. Give us a call and talk to Kevin Brown. We can offer the names of contractors in the area and help you with the materials you need to solve those problems on your commercial building or your home. That's Metal Building Supply, 1500 Elrod Road, just off exit 39 and I-85 in Piedmont, or call 295-0506 and ask for Kevin.
And now back to After Further Review.
Welcome back. After further review, it's time to dive into the Clemson discussion. We didn't get a chance to talk about it before the break, so we will do so now, and we will rope in our buddy Jack McLaughlin. He joins us here in the studio. Jack, you've been on the show four times?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I remember going back and looking through old clips.
Me every once in a while.
Yeah, you kind of mediate our arguments.
It was the Halloween. It was the Halloween show. Was a good one.
Because you were Steve Irwin.
Yep,
yeah,
dressed up as Steve Irwin. Yeah. Who were you? Jim Harbaugh. I was Steve Spurrier, and then Wyatt was Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. That's
Forrest
right.
Gump. Yeah, it was
great
good
costumes. Yeah.
But you've been on multiple times. I know.
It seems like almost every season I'm on. So spring and fall once, and I think this last fall too for the Halloween. Yeah. So
you deal with listening to our arguments at home. We kind of owe it to you.
He's lived with us now for 3 years, and so you've basically been you've had a front row seat to all the arguments that we've had on
for
air,
better or for worse,
off air. So we applaud you. But so we want to go ahead and talk now about Clemson game, and this 38-7 was the final score.
Slow start.
It was a slow start. Clemson didn't do. I mean, it was 0-0 after the first quarter, and then Clemson turned it on, scored 21 in the second, and then just kind of hung around there. 3 points third quarter, and then 2 touchdowns in the fourth.
I think it's amazing that after next week, our first 3 out of our first 4 opponents will be against triple option opponent. Yeah. That's probably never happened before.
And like Jack made the point when we were in break, we're prepared. That kind of.
Well, even without those games, I think we're still prepared. From what we've seen the last couple of years.
But Georgia Tech used to be the Achilles heel. I mean, it used to be Clemson's Achilles heel.
5 out of the last 6 games we've played at Bobby Dodd, we've lost.
Yeah,
I was going to say that was a point that I was going to make. We do not play well there.
Place to play.
I thought this was amazing. They lead the all-time series at home against us, 44-14. That's a lot of home games against Clemson.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's over a course of a lot of years.
When Carolina and Clemson started playing each other for the Palmetto rival, I mean, it was at Carolina from 1896 to, I want to say 1950 or 60 something. It was Big Thursday.
Yeah.
It was always played on a Thursday, and then they finally moved it up where it was a home and home, and Clemson beat Carolina that year, and then everybody said, oh, we're never going to play up in Clemson again. So, but yeah, no, I mean, overall, Georgia Tech has given Clemson a lot of problems, but we got to go back, talk about Georgia Southern a little bit. Kelly Bryant went out of this game at halftime with a bruised chest. Dabo said that he was breathing pretty heavy, and he did kind of go down awkwardly.
Took a weird hit.
A weird hit, and so Trevor had to step in and lead the team the whole second half. How'd you think his performance went overall?
I thought Trevor played well. I mentioned this last week when we followed up the Texas A&M game, saying I think Trevor, if you compare the two quarterbacks, I think he's the better one when he's comfortable in the pocket, because he seemed well protected against Georgia Southern, like you'd expect. Executed the offense real well. And Jack, you mentioned T. Higgins only had 2 catches that game.
Yeah. You would think. I think from what we've seen, T. Higgins is Trevor's favorite wide receiver.
Yeah.
Based off of the what he's shown so far. But yeah, he didn't find T at all, and Justin Ross ended up taking over this game. Yeah, he kind of took over the T. Higgins role.
And that's kind of the concern I had in the first quarter was we didn't throw any deep balls at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelly
didn't take too
likes
much
to do that when he passes, but
Kelly
didn't even take
he went
a chance.
7 for 10, 68 yards before he went out. But let's go ahead and open up the phone lines. We've got Clemson Dad on with us now. How you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good,
We're
man.
doing great. Can't complain.
All right. Yeah, you're talking about Clemson, and here we go. Right?
Does this possibly lead into your question?
Yeah, well, what's funny about my name is I grew up a South Carolina fan, and my daughter got accepted to both universities and ended up going to Clemson.
So you finally
that's
saw
why
the
I go by
light.
Clemson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Right. Anyway, I was texting my buddy. He graduated there. He's almost 70 years old, but asking him about what he thought was going on. And, it's just my opinion. Everybody can disagree. Walt disagrees with me. But I think 16 should be the man, and I think they should feed the ball to 9. Walt and I both agree on that. But I think that's where the magic's at for the team myself.
Do you not think that what Kelly did, and I'm just curious, I mean, do you not think that what Kelly did last year as a first-year starter, winning 12 games, getting us to a playoff berth, is enough to warrant him the chance, or I guess the right to start over Trevor Lawrence? Do you just feel like that Trevor Lawrence has so much raw talent that it would just be stupid not to feed him the ball?
I wouldn't say stupid, but, my daughter, like I said, she's a junior this year, and she cared less about football when she was in high school, but she's been on board ever since her freshman year, and we text back and forth during the game, and she thinks it's over for him, and I don't know if she's just hearing people talk or whatever. I'm talking about KB, and she loves KB. She's met him before. And but I just don't know, man. Trevor looks awful. They need to decide on somebody, I guess, maybe is my point. And number 9 is definitely the guy to feed it to.
I agree completely on the Etienne point. I mean, he had 16 carries in this game. He had 162 yards, average.
Career high, by the way.
Yeah, 10 yards a carry. I mean, he had a great performance. I think in terms of picking a guy, yes, absolutely. I'm not a fan of this whole, swap guys in, swap guys out kind of deal. I think it interrupts with the chemistry and the flow of the game and the team.
And the wide receivers.
And the wide receivers. So I don't disagree with you at all on that. I think that that's probably the best thing to do. Even if he ends up going with Trevor the rest of the season, it'll just give the offense more cohesiveness. I don't know. I mean, I know that within the locker room, there may be certain guys that prefer, a certain quarterback, whether it's Kelly or Trevor. Externally, though, obviously, you're not going to see any of that drama. But I don't know. I mean, Riley, do you feel like that it would just, and it's a tough thing to talk about?
Well, it sounds like your daughter's more of a fan of the hair than anything with Trevor Lawrence, if we're being honest here. But yeah, I think
her favorite Clemson player of all time is Ray Ray. So
there you go. Yeah.
He had
also some sweet hair.
Just about her size too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when
you guys
go on, sir.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead and finish with Clemson. I was going to ask if you're talking in the NFL real quick.
Yeah, I think when you look at the explosiveness that Trevor and Travis both bring to the offense, it kind of reminds me of what kind of is happening in Tuscaloosa right now, where you got the game manager, Jalen Hurts and Kelly Bryant, versus the guy that can really open up the field, like in Tua and Trevor Stance.
Tua's explosiveness is probably unlike anything we've seen.
Trevor's got some weapons, too. I'm brought up to
some
Walt
weapons?
the other day when we were arguing.
He's got tons of weapons. It's like, that long touchdown throw he had, he made a good throw, but T. Higgins made a great catch and run. So,
no doubt about it.
I think the argument that I will make, and to kind of close up this, is when I watch the A&M game, I don't want to say that Trevor didn't look comfortable in that environment, but he couldn't quite seem to get a grasp on things as well as Kelly did. And I feel like based off of that game, I was more impressed with Kelly's performance overall. The game ended up being a lot closer than a lot of us thought it was going to be. I think some people felt like Clemson was going to walk in there and just kind of run over him. Hey, Jimbo, to his credit, he had a great game plan, and it ended up being a very exciting game coming down the stretch that Clemson kind of, had to escape, so to speak, from. But overall, I felt like Kelly Bryant performed really well in that game. I thought he was poised. I thought he led his team down the field and limited his mistakes. I think the raw talent for Trevor is there. I don't think anybody thinks that Trevor is not talented. I think it's just a matter of right now what's best for the team is probably to go with the guy that has proven that he can get Clemson to a college football playoff. I think both guys can get us to college football playoffs. So.
Well, let me argue this with you. Didn't not Tua, but Jalen Hurts, he got him to the college football playoff.
He got him to two championships, actually. Yeah.
Right. So,
But who's to say that Trevor can't get him there? Who's to say Trevor can't get him there?
With all the pieces that they have around that quarterback, I think it would be hard for us not to make it to the playoff.
Especially on defense this year. Yeah. I mean, you're almost like you have more cushion than you would usually have because your defense is so dominant.
Tell Trevor, hey, go score 28 points. We can hold the rest from here. That's all he needs to do. That's all he's got to do.
With the ACC this year and the way it's shaping up, realistically, that's
and maybe
probably
it's not the worst idea to do two quarterback setup. I mean, if the ACC really is that bad, ride the hot hand.
But once you get into the postseason, because I think Clemson is good, they're going to make the postseason this year. I think you're going to face a team like an Alabama or you're going to face a team like a Georgia where a two-quarterback system is probably not going to be favorable.
Yeah, because you got to give your QB a chance to get into rhythm. And if you don't give them a chance against those teams, they're going to pick you apart.
Yeah.
NFL questions, huh? You got some of those?
Yeah, fire off a few real quick.
Yeah, I was going to ask a couple, but I'll ask my favorite one first because it's about my Steelers. Walt told me last week not to panic. Don't panic yet, but after this weekend, I'm not sure. Defense looked pretty scroungy.
I'd panic if I were you. I'm just going to be honest. No one can tie the Browns and not have a little panic set in. Yeah, and, I don't know whether Patrick Mahomes is either that good or whether the defense is that suspect. But
what has he got? 11 touchdowns.
11 touchdowns.
Set the record for most in 2 games.
He also has a lot of. I just don't know. Weapons around him.
Yeah, no, he does.
And then I saw an article today on CBS where Antonio Brown is arguing with some other exec that used to be there, and well, if you don't believe I make a difference, then y'all go ahead and trade me, and
Clemson Dad, if I were you, I'd worry a lot more about the offense right now than the defense. You got so many question marks on that offense with Le'Veon Bell. Is he going to play? And Big Ben, is he going to retire? And Antonio Brown, is he going to get traded? So you got to figure that offense out before you should worry about the defense.
Yeah, well, the defense gave up a lot of points this past weekend.
Well, hey, we appreciate you taking the time to call in, and hopefully we'll hear from you sometime next week.
All right, buddy.
All right, thank you. I think it's amazing. Week 4, Clemson's 3-0. Like everything seems to kind of be going their way as expected, and we're still having this debate. We're still talking about
it's going to go on.
Should be quarterback.
Yeah, and I said this would be the week that we need to finally kind of figure it out, whether we want to start one guy or another. I said this week 4 with Georgia Tech, this is kind of the cutoff point because then the ACC schedule really starts to get going.
Yeah, I mean, overall, Jack, I guess because we got to kind of wrap up this conversation, was there anything that jumped out to you about this Georgia Southern game, or was it just run-of-the-mill? I mean, we all felt like this was going to be more of a tune-up game.
The fullback.
Yeah, the 300-pound fullback that tore us up. Honestly, I think Kelly Bryant, still should be our choice as quarterback. He just, every time I see him on, he's comfortable. And Trevor can be very boomer bust at times. And I don't know if I want to go with a boomer bust when I have somebody that's comfortable.
All right, well, we got another caller on the phone lines. We got Steve on air. How you doing, Steve and Steve?
Hey, guys, how are you?
Good, good.
What's you got?
Hey, I didn't really call to talk about the quarterback controversy, if that's what you want to call it. I just had a scenario for you, and chances are it probably wouldn't play out, but I'm just asking you, what if it did? I mean, with the way the ACC is this year, what if Clemson did lose a game and they still won the ACC championship and they went 12-1? And what if Georgia and Alabama both go undefeated and they go 12-0?
Okay.
And they play each other in the SEC championship game, and that's that's their only loss. Whoever wins the game.
I think it kind of matters.
You have an Ohio State and then you have an Ohio State and Oklahoma sitting out there. I guess my question is, when you look at that, let's say Alabama beats Georgia. You look at that Georgia team that's 12-1. Their only loss is to Alabama, and you can pick who Clemson loses to. I mean, it could be. If it were BC, Florida State, Wake Forest, Georgia State, I don't think it really matters because, I mean, it's not going to be the kind of loss that the only loss Georgia would have would be Alabama. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I 100% agree. Yeah, and I predicted this year. I think this is going to be the year where you have all five Power 5 schools or five Power 5 conferences all vying for that playoff spot, and you even factor in Notre Dame, which we're going to get to later. I think if Clemson ends up losing a game, they don't have that benefit of having Miami on the other side being ranked so high.
You also don't have a great out of conference schedule for Clemson. I mean, they're
A&M wins. Virginia Tech keeps winning.
Yeah, you're going to have to root for that coastal. Exactly.
But you got a South Carolina team this year that doesn't look like they're going to be in any sort of national conversation. I mean, yes, the A&M game looks good. It was close, but your Furman and Georgia Southern games, I mean, nobody's going to look at that. Nobody's going to look at that at all. And you have a down
what's going to hurt A&M, too, is obviously what's going to hurt A&M. I mean, I get these are good teams, but, it's going to matter when A&M gets throttled by Alabama Saturday, blown out of the stadium by Georgia, loses to LSU, loses to Auburn. I mean, it's not going to, the record for A&M at the end of the year isn't going to be some, spectacular 9-3, 10-2 record, and everybody's like, oh, well, that's a, great win over a team with 9 or 10 wins.
And I think it is,
in my opinion.
I think it is different, though. If this was our, maybe 3 years ago when Clemson was just kind of bursting onto the scene, maybe it's a little bit different. And the conversation there is a little bit different than what we have now, or we've been to back-to-back college football playoffs.
Yeah, they may get the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. People know that we're a good team.
For the first time, in a long time, Clemson may have been given the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It's an interesting scenario. Yeah. One, I don't think, truthfully, is realistic. I think Clemson has the talent. I said this before the season. I said it during the season. Only team that can beat Clemson is Clemson. If they don't show up to a game, if they don't show up to Syracuse, they don't show up to NC State. Heck, if they don't even show up to on the road at Florida State. I mean, Florida State looks really, really bad.
Unfortunately, the last 2 years that's happened. I mean, they got away with it. Last year they got away with losing to Syracuse, and the year before they got away with losing to Pittsburgh. I don't know if you can get away with it this year. They made. I mean, and then the last thing I'll just throw out there, and then I'll let you guys say if you want to say anything about it is, unless Alabama has some major injuries or something, and Tua goes down or whatever, when you put that offense with that defense, I'm sorry. There's nobody in the country that can touch them. They're 10 points better than anybody in the country, and I'll just hang up and listen. Thanks.
Easily. You could play that game in any other stadium but Tuscaloosa, and I think Alabama's easily throttling any opponent. I hate to say it, even Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
think at this point you'd probably have to make an all-star team across college football to have any chance. They're becoming the Golden State Warriors right now, and that's scary to say because with all the pieces they lost last year, you thought maybe this is the year we get them.
Every year it seems they're better. This is the best team that
they have a passing quarterback.
It's crazy.
They have a quarterback that can actually pass.
An explosive guy that can actually make huge plays more than just manage the game.
Yeah, it's incredible. Someone's gonna have to cheat or like Ole Miss to beat them.
Or you just gotta get lucky. Have that one game that Bama doesn't show up.
Mississippi State. I predicted it preseason. Watch out.
Possibly. Hey, we got to take a quick final break. When we come back, last segment, we are going to be previewing Week 4 action, breaking down some of the biggest games for you. That's next.
Hey, Tiger fans. Your Clemson football team will host the Syracuse Orange on Saturday, September the 29th in Death Valley. This game is designated as Hall of Fame Day as 10 new inductees will be introduced at halftime. Tickets are still available and can be purchased right now on ClemsonTigers.com. While you're there, check out all the information you need to plan your visit to Clemson in the Game Day Guide. It's Clemson and Syracuse on Saturday, September the 29th. We'll see you there.
If you have problems with the IRS, don't trust your personal information to a stranger on the other end of a 1-800 number. The Green Law Firm is local and looking out for you. For a free strategy session, call 271-7940.
Each week, you have a chance as a Roar listener to help choose the high school game of the week in the Fryer-Dixon All-State Poll. Go to WCCPFM.com and vote for the matchup you want us to carry. Brought to you by Clemson alum Fryer-Dixon, All-State agent in Clemson.
Need an outfit for game day? Don't panic. Robinsons will help get you tailgate ready with collegiate wear from Southern Tide, Frederick Martin, Divots, and the complete line of Cutter and Buck. Polos, wovens, vests, and quarter zips with the new Tiger Paw embroidery. Just what you need to look great for tailgating, game day, and every day. Show your Tiger pride and shop at Robinson's of Old Market Square, downtown Easley. Your clothing specialist for all things Clemson. Call 855-0017. Go Tigers!
No matter where you're going, you'll see hundreds of convenience stores along your route. What sets Locomart in Clemson apart? Quality gasoline at awesome prices? Yes. Rewards to help you save even more money? Yes. But you'll also find a huge craft beer selection at Locomart that you wouldn't find at a normal convenience store. There's only one stop you need to make. Locomart on Old Greenville Highway and Highway 123. Proudly locally owned and operated. Marathon. Fueling the American spirit.
It happens every time. When a hailstorm hits, there's an increase of people who want to take your money for roof repairs. Problem is, many of them are just trying to take advantage of you and don't really know what they're doing. Gillstrap Roofing has been around for decades. Trust Gillstrap Roofing to handle the repairs and deal with the insurance. Just because someone knocks on your door with a card that says they're a roofer doesn't mean they'll do quality work at a reasonable price. Call Gillstrap Roofing, 269-1232.
Looking for delicious and innovative food in downtown Clemson? The Blue Heron Restaurant and Sushi Bar is the answer. Fresh house-cut steaks and seafood and free-range poultry are just a few of the menu items that define the Blue Heron. And specials like Monday's Pizza and a Pint build your own 4-topping pizza for $9. The finest steaks and fresh seafood at the Blue Heron, College Avenue, Clemson. Visit our website at blueheronfood.com.
Some traditions should never change, like the Tigers entering Death Valley from the East End Zone and touching Howard's Rock. Your local Ag Pro has also entered traditions like our fall closeout sale on our best-selling John Deere tractor packages. Save up to an additional $3,900 and be equipped for anything. Visit agproco.com.
Do you have a love-hate relationship with your credit card? You love the freedom and convenience the credit card gives you, but you hate the high interest rates? And let's face it, they're high. 17, 18, even 20% APR? That's pretty outrageous. But with Lightstream's credit card consolidation loan, rather than throwing your money away on high interest payments, you can get a much lower rate, as low as 5.89% APR with AutoPay. And today, if you want an even lower rate, apply at lightstream.com/radio for a special discount. Plus, with Lightstream, your rate is fixed, so as rates continue to rise, your rates won't budge. They'll stay low. You can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000, which means you can pay off your credit card and start paying an interest rate you can really love, thanks to Lightstream.
Ready to start saving? Apply now at lightstream.com/radio. That's right. Get your extra discount by applying today at lightstream.com/radio. That's lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% auto-pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Rely on EnviroMulch. They supply quality landscape supplies for any outdoor project. They're special. Get double ground hardwood mulch for $1 off per yard. Ordered online with promo code WCCP. No other discounts apply. From your friends at EnviroMulch. Go Tigers!
It's bow time at Bojangles. Make your tailgate even sweeter with football-shaped Bowberry biscuits. Made from scratch, sweet biscuits, freshly baked, and topped with our delicious icing. Bojangles, it's bow time.
The flagship station for Clemson football. We are WCCP 105.5 The Roar.
And now, back.
Time with us. Going to talk a little bit more college football before we wrap up this week's show.
Already week 4?
I know. We're
amazing.
we're a quarter of the way through the regular season, and that's just blowing my mind. Senior year of football season.
Way through the regular season, quarter of the way through the whole season.
Yeah.
Real quick, Northland Communication Hotline, if you want to get in and shout out us, we got 864-654-7627. Or if you're too afraid to talk, you want to text into the Health Dare text line, 864-986-1566.
You definitely stole that line from me over the summer,
Yeah,
didn't you?
it was just,
up.
Now, hey, speaking of being too afraid to talk, a buddy of ours, former roommate Jackson Wright, texted in, and he actually talked to us us about this before the show, how Jimbo Fisher came out today saying that he would go vegan if he could beat Alabama. He'd go vegan for a year if he could beat Alabama this weekend. The question for him to us is this. Would we be willing to go vegan if we knew we would beat Bama in the championship game?
There's a lot more that I'd be willing to do than go vegan. Are you kidding me? Go vegan?
I would go easy. I would go Amish.
Do you know how hard it is though to go vegan? I mean, you can't have dairy, right?
I don't care.
Dude,
tofu.
I would eat like green beans every single meal for the rest of my life. That'd be the only food
I would definitely do significantly more than just going vegan to guarantee a national championship victory over Alabama. Are you kidding me? I would go to Russia to beat Alabama in a national championship game.
North Korea. That's probably
if they let me in, yeah. If that's what it takes to beat Nick Saban, yes, I will. I will go to North Korea.
There were people saying before the Ole Miss game, and these were Mississippi beat writers, but saying that Nick Saban's an overrated coach. Yeah. We've heard this opinion voiced prior to this.
This was
so is Bill Belichick.
Saying now, yeah, exactly. Well, that's who they compared him to.
That was
Bill
Funny
Belichick.
read, yeah.
They said like it would be like if Bill Belichick received the top 10 draft picks every year and didn't win the Super Bowl each year. And
I mean, he's won 5 national championships in his 11 years at Alabama, and I think he went from like going 6-6 in 2007.
Now, I think one of us could probably
undefeated regular season next year.
I think one of us could coach there for 11 years and probably maybe win one national championship. Probably one.
I definitely do not have that much faith in any of the three of us that you could hand over the reins in Tuscaloosa to us and we can make something positive.
Have you seen me play the NCAA 14 video game? Come on now.
I don't know. Jack was nodding his head. Jack, you think you could win a national championship at Alabama with the coaching and the players there?
Yeah, and also the coaches that he's had for like his defensive coordinators, his offensive coordinators. Like he's surrounded himself with a lot of good coaches that have gone on to do their own thing and have been successful. So that kind of shows that Nick understands it's not all just about him. He's got to be able to put people around him that can be successful, which is what Dabo's done too.
Hey, I'd win you a Super Bowl too because I'd run the ball with Marshawn Lynch with the Seahawks too. So chalk that up in my resume.
All right. Well, week 4 preview, some games we got to get to. First up on the slate for us, Stanford is traveling to Oregon this weekend. This is going to be an 8 o'clock kickoff on ABC.
Game day will be there.
Game day will be there. First time they've been in Eugene and
probably since Mariota.
A while.
It's been a little while, yeah.
Since Chip Kelly era?
Oregon team that's averaging 51 points a game. Stanford team that's only giving up 7 points a game. This will be an intriguing matchup.
I think it will. Stanford, like you said, went 167 minutes without allowing a touchdown to begin the season. Pretty impressive defense that David Shaw's got. That being said, they have not seen an offense like Oregon yet this season. Justin Herbert, one of the top quarterbacks we're going to see this entire season. He's back. He's healthy. He hasn't started great, but he's talented. And I think he's got a great chance at home to light up Stanford's defense. Now, light up. I'm not saying they're going to score 50, but they're not only going to score 3 points like USC.
You need to look at the last few games, though, that Oregon's or the opponents they've gone up against, because the last time they played a ranked team, this season they've played San Jose State.
The combined record of the teams they've played is 2-7 at this point.
You know who else played some bad teams, though? Oklahoma State. And they beat Boise State this past week.
And you were picking Boise State.
Okay, we don't have to keep bringing that up. All right, let's just rehash that all night.
I'm saying is that the last time Oregon played a ranked team, it was Boise State. They lost 38-28. This was last year, December 16th. That would have been a bowl game. Stanford, conversely, they've played 3 ranked teams in their last 5 matchups. They're 1-2 in those games. Win against USC, that was the solo one, 17-13. So Oregon is not used to the caliber of defense that Stanford has.
But is Stanford used to the caliber of offense that Oregon has?
That's what I'm saying.
They scored 17 points against USC. Texas had, 40?
Yeah.
17 points. Now, that's with Bryce Love and a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, one of the best names in college football right there. And that's one of the keys I think that Oregon's going to have in this game is you got to stop Bryce Love. And San Diego State did a great job with that. USC did a great job with that. You're going to have to make KJ Costello and that Stanford quarterback and wide receiver pairs beat you. That's going to be the key to the game right there.
And I was going to say KJ Costello has not had a good past 2 games.
No, he hasn't.
He's basically averaging like 200 yards, and he's thrown almost as many touchdowns as he has interceptions.
He's Alex Hornibrook from the right side.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, I will say Oregon's offense has shown that they can get thrown on. They've had 270 yards thrown on them and 250, and those are from some cupcake teams too. So I think KJ is going to have to step up and do well in this game.
Bryce Love might not even be healthy. That's the thing. Like, we don't. It's an undisclosed injury. He didn't play last week. Might have been just for precautionary reasons.
So you think if this is a low-scoring game, Stanford wins? Do you think if it's a shootout, it's going to Oregon?
It will if that happens, but I don't think it will.
You think it's low scoring?
I think Oregon's putting up 30-plus points on them. I'm just being honest. I think with their ability to attack through the air, Mario Cristobal is an offensive-minded coach. I just think at home, given that the benefit of the doubt in Autzen Stadium.
Yeah, and the fact that Stanford is they're giving up 300 yards a game. Now, they're only giving up 7 points a game, but they're still letting teams run down the length of the field multiple times.
And Oregon's got a decent defense, too. Like we talked about this with Oklahoma State, having a potentially good defense, too. They're not just offense. They got it from both sides of the ball. So
I was about to say, you're talking about how good Stanford's defense is, and total defense-wise, they're exactly the same. Stanford allows 301 yards of total offense, Oregon 303.
Yep.
And 77 rushing yards a game for that Oregon defense. That does not bode well for Bryce Love if he does play. And if he does play, he's going to have to get going and get some balance on that Stanford offense if they want to have any chance of outscoring Justin Herbert in this Ducks offense.
Oregon's got 11 sacks this year. That's fifth best in FBS. That's a good D-line there
good D-line,
in Oregon. Yeah, so Bryce Love's got a big challenge out of him.
It'll be a fun game to watch. I think we can all agree.
You know which individual after this past weekend is ranked number 1 in FBS in solo sacks?
Ooh, Cleveland Farrell.
Cleveland Farrell, baby.
Yeah,
Talking about a good defensive line.
I want to say I heard a stat, and I'm not sure if it's happened yet or it could happen if a couple guys get a few more sacks, but Clemson could be the only team to have all 4 starting defensive linemen to have at least 10 sacks in their career.
I'll tell you what, they might reach that this week coming up against Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
I mean, I guess with an option, does that count as a sack technically? I guess
tackle for loss.
A tackle for loss.
Yeah. Tackle for loss.
And they're going to lead the country in that like they have years past too.
Yeah. We got to move on. The Wake Forest, Notre Dame. This one is going to be in Winston-Salem. Notre Dame's traveling
in front of about 5,000 people.
Traveling to Wake Forest. Hey, Demon Deacons are 2-1 on the year. They haven't really played anybody, though. Of course, Notre Dame's only real win is against Michigan. They've played tight games against Ball State. And who they play this past week? They play
Vandy,
man. The Commodore. Now, Jack, what is it with Notre Dame's Achilles heel with Ball State? Like basketball, they lost. Football, they almost lost.
At home.
Evan, what's their mascot?
Ball State,
the Cardinals.
Cardinals. That's what I thought. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
I don't really know. But they did not look well. They did not look good against Ball State. I mean, Brendan Wimbush was having a lot of issues just being consistent. He was turning the ball over, and just not good at all. He did a little better job with that at Vanderbilt. He didn't really turn the ball over as much, but he wasn't making plays either. And I think that's been a big issue for Notre Dame is he hasn't been consistent with his effort.
Yeah, I've said this is the key to Wimbush all year. He can't lose you games, and he's not going to be able to win you games, but he just can't lose you. That's the thing. Like he's got to be
you got to limit his issues.
Enough of a game control and enough of a quarterback to be able to sustain a full 4-quarter slate and just not give it away. It's an 8-point line this week. Jay, you got it pulled up.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame should win this game. I think they should win it handily. I think Wake Forest has the chance to hang around with them because they hung around with BC, a team that I think's pretty good. I think BC's a pretty good football team.
I do too.
That was a 41-34 game. So Wake Forest proves, okay, they can score some points. Notre Dame this season has had issues putting up points. 24-17 win over Michigan. 24-16 win over Ball State. 22-17 win over Vanderbilt. So if they can't get more than 20, 24, 21 points up, Wake Forest, four touchdowns, they've won the game.
Notre Dame's got a pretty doggone good defense, though, I got to say.
Yeah,
shut down Shea Patterson.
They do.
I know they're not scoring a lot, but you can still have a great defense and win those kind of low-scoring games. Wake's got a freshman quarterback. That's all I'm saying. I mean, Kyle Shermer for Vanderbilt was experienced. Yeah. Wake doesn't have that luxury.
Well, I hate to cut him off, but we got to move on. We got one game left. We got to preview only a couple of minutes and some change. Clemson, Georgia Tech this coming weekend. This is going to be a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. We've talked about the Georgia Tech triple option. It's been the Clemson's Achilles heel in the past. With Brent Venables at the helm, a defensive coordinator, not so much. And I really feel like even though Georgia Tech is coming into this game averaging over 500 yards of total offense, Clemson's going to significantly reduce that number.
Their defense is just that bad, Georgia Tech. I mean, they gave up 49 to South Florida. The reason they're scoring so much is because their defense is letting up plays so quickly that their offense is immediately back on the field. The triple option, we're used to it. We've seen it the last couple weeks. I got a bold prediction here. I think Clemson ends up getting more rushing yards than Georgia Tech. I think our D-line is that good, and we can shut them down that much.
I mean, if Etienne has a couple breakout runs, and the defensive line, I don't think will have any issues stopping Georgia Tech's triple option.
Now, we've gotten off the slow starts in the past versus Georgia Tech. I mean,
it's tough to stay committed to the triple option for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
We know that's tough.
Yeah.
It's assignment football. Venables preaches it.
Yeah, but we haven't had problems with the triple option. We've seen it in the past. We're used to it. Venables knows how to coach against it. The D-line's just that good where I don't think it's going to matter how good Taquan Marshall is under center. I think
Taquan does have experience, though. He's been playing behind that offense for a year now, so that bodes not well for Clemson.
And it's in Bobby Dodd. It's not on a Thursday night, though, which I think is key.
It's a 17-point line. Over, under.
I'm taking over. Clemson's not letting up more than 10 points.
I would take the over.
I'll take the over, but I don't think they're going to blow it up until the third quarter.
Yeah, you're right. It could take a while. Clemson's had some slow starts, and they have a tendency, for whatever reason, to let teams hang around in games that, should be over by halftime. Do you think it matters who's playing quarterback?
I was just going to ask, who do you think plays more, Kelly or Trevor? And
if Kelly's
healthy,
it really
does,
to be honest, because it's away.
Well, I think it was this past weekend, I think, where we've had 34 offensive drives, and both Kelly and Trevor had 17 apiece.
And Trevor had better stats. Now it's inferior opponents late games, but I don't think it'll matter. I think Chase Bryce starts this game, and we could still win this game pretty easily.
Well, I don't know. I think we got a lot of good games this coming weekend, and hopefully Clemson gets another victory here with Georgia Tech on the road. But hey, always fun bringing you another edition of After Further Review. Thanks so much to Jack for coming on this week with us,
having me.
and we will see y'all next time.